Hi, my name is Darrin Foster, and I'm here to give you an informative speech on bricklaying. Um, Masonry, building as it's referred to, is the use of building with brick, block, rock, stone, many different things. It's all around us every day in different places. Every Lowe's you go into, every Walmart, basically every school, every main public buildings. It's all around us, and people probably often wonder how is masonry work put together. So that is what this speech will. Hopefully, by the time we're done, you might understand a little bit more about how building with masonry products works. So you might ask yourself, how would a guy go about building a brick wall? Well, first thing we need to do to build a brick wall would be to understand the type of material that we're using. I brought a lot of visual aids today to hopefully get us through so we'll understand it. First wall we're going to talk about would be a standard brick wall backed up by block. Haydite block, which is going to be, this is an example of a Haydite block. It measures 15 and 5/8 inches long, 7 and 5/8 inches tall, and this in particular one would measure 5 and 5/8 inches wide, and it would be called a 6-inch block because it's always referred to by the width of it. The reason they are that odd measurement of 5/8 on the end of every measurement is they always allow for a 3/8 inch mortar joint. Mortar is a substance used to hold all masonry together. It consists of Portland, lime, sand, and water. When you mix the water with the dry powder formed with the Portland and the lime, it activates the lime, which heats the process up and solidifies it. You've often probably wondered why concrete and mortar has kind of a greenish tint to it. That's the actual chemical reaction going on in the concrete or mortar. Concrete and mortar have very similar characteristics in everything they do. The main difference in the two is concrete consists a lot more of rocks involved in there also, something to make it a little more solid. Whereas sand is the main thing in mortar. Of course you wouldn't want rocks in mortar because you're trying to squish mortar down and lay brick on top of it. So we're talking about building a brick wall. The type of backer we would have on a brick wall would be very dependent on the purpose of the brick wall. Certain walls are for certain things. Let's say you're building a wall on the inside of a school. You wouldn't have brick in there unless it was just for decoration. Mainly you would probably have block all the way through it. The type of joint that it would be laid on or the type of bond that it would be laid on will be dependent upon whatever the architecture wants. A lot of these block are just stacked one on top of each other. It just makes for nice straight columns up in the air. That's called a stack bond, and it's just kind of serves a purpose. It's tied together with, they drill rebar in a footer, and then whenever you lift the block up over and put it over the rebar, once you get so many block high, normally it's 7, you pour the concrete in there, what you call grout, and it solidifies it together, holds it with a piece of rebar in the middle to be structurally sound. The more sturdy type of bond to lay would be what's called running bond or half bond. And that's where you would take this block and then you would add another one on where it comes down halfway across the other one. That would tie this block to this block and this block. Then when you poured the concrete through, it would tie the whole wall together. That's a lot more common for use in different type of shelters and substances like that. Next thing we're going to talk about is the different kinds of materials used by bricklayers. Let's talk about some tools first. This is a trowel. This is what the bricklayer takes the mortar, which is referred to as mud. He will take and scoop it off a board and then apply it to the material, whether it be a brick, block, whatever type of material we're talking about. Once he gets the material on there, he'll normally cut the excess off. whenever he gets ready to clean it up and make a nice smooth joint, he uses what's called a joiner. And he will take this and run it in the joints to smooth everything out. If you wonder how a bricklayer keeps up with the amount of measurements and height requirements it takes to lay block, we often use a rule. This is actually a brick rule, and on the back of it, it has different measurements for different heights of brick that you want to get your brickwork to. Now I'm going to talk about some of the other types of material bricklayers lay, which actually make a bricklayer more of an artist than anything else. One of the funnest things I've ever laid is what's called cultured stone. And cultured stone you'll see a lot. It's man-made stone. It's concrete, made to look like a rock. And bricklayer will put mud on the back of it and actually stick it to the wall. It's referred to as sticky stone a lot of times. And a lot of times people use these for fireplaces. They use them a lot in airports. It's a place you want a rugged, rough look. Another fun thing to lay is what's called glass block. Glass block was real big in the 50s. They use them a lot in window applications, a lot of car dealerships and things like that. They're very expensive, so if you have a lot of glass block around, back in the day it was a way to show off a lot of wealth. The main thing being talked about is brick, though. And this is what's called a modular brick. And what it means by modular is, with a joint, it would lay on 8 inches long, which is half of a block. So 2 brick would make up 1 block. If you stacked them 3 high, they would be the height of 1 block. So between the two things, it makes them modular to brickwork. Blockwork lays on a 2-foot measurement, which makes it great for any even heights, 8, 10, 12 feet. That's a lot of times why people use brick and block. So in conclusion, I just want to say that all the different things that a bricklayer does, he's able to make it into more of an art form than just a job. So with all the variances and different things that a bricklayer can do, it ended up being a fun job and very, very artistic. Thank you.